These are the adventures of a temporarily out of work wife and mother, and this is the true completion of the DIY of my powder room. You already know all about the decorations and the furniture that I put in this bathroom. Not furniture, but the over the toilet stand. And so now it's time to actually do the painting. So I decided that I didn't want the powder blue trim anymore. And I didn't want an accent wall or to paint all of the walls a heavier color because it's just too small for that. But I did want the trim darker. I wanted a more oceanic blue. I also didn't want to purchase more paint. So I had this paint that we actually use on the shutters on the house. And since it's an outdoor paint, it is definitely a matte paint. So I decided that I would use that paint, but then I would go over it with a high gloss clear spray paint to make it easy to wipe off. So here I am painting that floating shelf first. It's amazing how long it actually took to paint this little bathroom. Not just painting the trim, the darker shade, but also painting the walls, that mist of drift, that same color that's in the hallway bathroom upstairs. I still haven't decided if I did this in the wrong order or not, to be perfectly honest. Maybe I should have painted the walls and the ceilings first and then painted the trim and this shelf. I don't know, but I ended up having to go over the trim because paint dripped onto it when I painted the walls and the ceilings. And not actually paint, but if you paint right, you know that you need to wet the brush before you actually use it for the first time. And so because the brush was wet when I was using it to cut in the paint around the walls and between the wall and the ceiling, the wetness, the water paint mixture was what was actually dripping onto the trim. And because the trim was matte, I couldn't just wipe it off. I wiped it, but it didn't do anything for it. So I ended up having to go back over it. And of course, I had to let it dry completely and come back later when we were able to air the house out and cover it in that high gloss clear spray paint. Otherwise, we would all suffocate. I do a lot of my painting in the evenings at nighttime. It's just easier for me. It helps to avoid having people in and out of the room where you were painting. And it's a lot easier to leave the paint to dry and you come back the next day and everything is right as rain. You can touch up anything that needs to be touched up. You can move all of your furniture and decorations back in. That just works for me. But that lady's son that I married thinks that I'm nuts because he said that these aren't painting hours. So a lot of times I'm painting in, it's 10 o'clock, it's 1 a.m., it's 3 a.m. because I started at 5 or 6 and I really didn't expect for this bathroom to take as long as it did. But as you see, this is probably why. Because of course I did tape it off and I tried to protect the walls and the sink and the toilet as much as I possibly could so that there wouldn't be so much to clean up or to try to get off of things, and even tried to protect the floor as much as possible. But there's only so much protecting that you can actually do when you are painting, especially in such a small space. So with that in mind, what I did was I made sure that I painted where the tape was first. I made sure I got that really done. And then I took my time and I went around the base, right where the baseboard met the floor. And then I got those work cloths and I got them wet and some dry. And I went along and wiped any that I got on the floor using that angled brush. It was pretty easy for me to avoid painting the floor, like outright painting the floor. But it was definitely a labor of love and it required time and attention. This video is obviously sped up, but I definitely was taking my time, going slowly, not trying to do really long strokes. The angle is not that good as far as the iPad is concerned, but the bathroom was entirely too small for me to try to put the tripod in the bathroom with me. At some point, the iPad died and I did not have the energy or the time to go and charge it and then try to get it all set back up so that I could record myself painting the actual walls and the ceiling. You know what painting looks like. I didn't do very much different than when I painted the walls and the ceilings in the other bathrooms, except for the fact that the walls and the ceilings were being all the same color. And that back wall is slanted because this bathroom is right under the stairs. So it was pretty easy for me to go from the ceiling directly to the wall. So that did kind of speed that process up. I also painted the remaining trim and the door the white color so that that blue met with the white and it all looked even and cohesive. And this is the final product. This is what that looks like when it's all done. We got new light switch covers, and I also installed one of those outlets with the USB ports like I did in the other bathrooms. And as you see, voila, the mirror was protected and all of that good stuff. We got that trim all even and nicely done. It's not perfect, but it is definitely close. A lot of this was done freehand, so it is definitely impressive as far as I'm concerned. And I love the shade of blue that it is now. Y'all keep me in your prayers because my legal battle continues and my home improvements will continue as I traverse that experience. I may have 1 or 2 more videos of improvements that we made upstairs coming your way. Ta-ta for now.